Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Friends of Mimosa Holland Gardens webinar event. We are here with Chef Darwin. Hello, Chef Darwin. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How is everybody doing?
We're doing well. Thank you for joining us today. I am Gina Sen, and I'll be hosting this webinar and facilitating questions with our chef today. We're so excited that you are able to join us today. Before we get to our incredible presenter, I want to share some housekeeping notes. This call is being recorded and all participants should be muted. To mute your line, click on the microphone option on your screen so it has a red line through it. You can also ask any questions through the chat. We can raise your questions there, or we can wait for a natural pause and you can unmute your phone at that point. If you have any other questions for us, you can, again, write it in the chat and one of the people within our team will address it for you. Thank you so much, and we will actually get started. Chef Darwin, tell us what you're making today.
All right. So first of all, welcome everybody. So tonight, since it's summer and it's hot, and it has been kind of unbearingly warm, as I will say it, I'm going to do a potato dish tonight, and then I'm going to kind of liven it up with some ice cream with a little bit of a flair. So I'm going to get everything adjusted. You're not really going to see me. You're going to see more of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to move my thing down so you guys can see my pan. All right, here we go. So for all of you who don't know me, I am Chef Darwin. I'm the culinary instructor for East Roswell. I teach all of the programs on the east side of town, and I handle everything from children to adults, and you can always find our brochure online at roswellgov.com under the resident tab. You can also always have my email address, darwinthechef@gmail.com. If you have any questions, I always can try to answer them for you. So we're going to get started. So we're making a potato dish that my grandmother made and developed for one of her sisters. I am not sure what sister this was. All I know is that my grandmother did this. My grandmother come from a family of 16 children. So, and my grandmother was the second oldest daughter. So she did a lot around the house helping cooking. So she made these potatoes to get one of her sisters to eat. So all she did and all she started with is 2 tablespoons of butter. And we have our pan on medium-high heat.
Chef Darwin, are we using salted butter or unsalted? Does not matter at this point.
Unsalted butter.
Unsalted?
I use unsalted butter.
Gotcha.
And the only reason that I use unsalted butter is so that I can control the amount of salt that I want in my dish. I use it when I bake. So I just happen to like unsalted butter. Now, when I make butter, I, of course, make it salted.
Gotcha.
And I do that with my kids in one of my camps. So as this is melting down, we're going to add a couple teaspoons of olive oil. Okay, tonight I'm using extra virgin. The only reason I'm doing this is the butter will help the olive oil maintain a higher temperature so I can cook my things. Okay, so that's a really neat trade secret that sometimes people don't tell you. If you're using vegetable oil, throw a pat of butter in there, and as it melts, it helps the oil cook at a higher temperature. So this is pretty much where I want it. So the first thing I'm going to add is 1 onion. This happens to be a yellow onion tonight. You can use any type of onion that you want. I'm going to throw a little bit of kosher salt on it. I just like kosher salt. Draw out some of that moisture. And I'm going to start moving it around my pan. We're going to let these cook for a couple minutes, and then we're going to add pretty much a lot of other things. So my grandmother and grandfather had their own restaurant when I was but a wee young lad, as I always say. So I grew up beside my grandmother in her kitchen, either in the restaurant or at home by her side cooking. I have always loved to cook. Actually, went away from it about 8 years ago, and decided to try my hand in the mortgage industry. Kind of got a little burned out on it. Came back to cooking, and this is where I've been ever since. I've been with the city now for about 15 to 16 years. So I really like doing this. I try to do all my grandmother's recipes. Sometimes I don't. The ice cream is not her recipe. It's actually someone else's recipe that I like. So the onions are starting to get a little yellow. And I like this. Starting to get a good aroma up in here. And I'm just moving them around the pan. Don't want them to sit too long. Got a little bit of a skin there.
So you brown these onions first before you add any
Yes.
seasonings or salt or anything?
I added just a little salt to draw out some moisture in them. But yeah, I'm going to cook these first because I want these to be soft. So the way that we're going to approach this dish, this is not, to me, not a normal potato dish because we're not really going to boil them. Well, we really kind of are going to boil them, but we're going to do it in a really, almost like a poached manner when we're done. So I like the way my onions are looking. So the next thing I'm going to add is garlic. Now, I'm using canned garlic tonight because, I mean, I'm up here in Roswell at my teaching kitchen, and little kids don't like to use garlic because it makes their hands smell, so we just use that. So I'm going to add maybe about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to quickly move that around. Always remember that garlic, once it starts to cook and it gets dark and black, it becomes very bitter and will ruin your dish.
Really made that mistake before, Chef Darwin, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely not fun.
People in my household make that mistake a lot. Even with me being a chef, they like to cook too. So, all right. At this point, notice where my onions are. They're in the center, and there's a reason for that. So tonight, the dish that you're going to get is going to call for white wine, and it's 1/4 of a cup. But I don't have any on stock because I'm teaching kids camp, so when I have no adult classes, so I don't have any wine up here. So I'm just going to go ahead with stock tonight. And tonight I'm using vegetable stock. You can use vegetable or chicken stock. You can also omit the white wine. However, the dish is pretty good with the white wine. So all I'm going to do.
And again, does it matter if it's salted or not?
No. I'm going to put in about 2 cups of wine. Going to stir everything around. I'm going to give that broth a little time to kind of heat up. Now, the potatoes. Just good old russet potatoes is all you need. And I'm going to move you guys a little bit over here. Can you see my cutting board? Okay.
Yes, we can.
So, look, you can peel your potatoes if you want, but being in the restaurant industry, this is what I do. End off, end off. I cut one side, turn it over, cut another side, turn it over, cut another side, turn it over, and cut another side. Okay, that's the easy way of getting rid of the potato peel. My grandmother did it this way. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm just going to cut them in about 1/4 inch cubes. That's all there is to it. My potatoes ready to go. Kind of a different way of serving them. Back to the pan. I'm going to take my potato cubes and I'm going to nestle them in this sauce. If you want, you can be fancy, fan them down, or you can leave them solid. Now, little secret to browned potatoes. You know that some of my potatoes are looking a little brown there, is you can put them in water. The water will draw out all that starch, which is what's making the potatoes brown. I use 4 at a time, keeping my onions in the center. Once that's done, you're gonna make it rain with kosher salt. By the way, you can just use regular salt. I happen to be a little bit of allergic to iodine, so I use kosher salt because it usually has no iodine in it. Generous amount of black pepper and some paprika. This happens just to be ground. You can use whatever paprika you have on hand. Nice boiling going on. Okay, cover it. Reduce the heat to about medium low. Let them sit for 15 or 20 minutes and let them just cook. You can look at them, not a big deal. Get all this out of the way. So I'm going to move us so we can get started on our ice cream. So, like I said, the potatoes just sit here. We'll come back to them when they're all said and done. Do you watch me eat them? They're pretty good. All right, now you're going to get to see my counter. There we go. I'll be right back. We're going to make some ice cream tonight, but we're not going to make any kind of ice cream here at Chef Darwin's kitchen. I have a fascination with different flavors, and I happened to see this one night when I was watching TV about 6 years ago. I happened to be watching the BBC channel, and up came a chef by the name of Nigella Lawson, who I absolutely love. I love her delivery.
I do too. Love her.
Yes, she made something called Margarita ice cream. I took the margarita off, just called it tequila. So the things that you're going to need: lime juice, tequila, an orange liqueur, powdered sugar, and of course heavy cream, and a mixer, because you don't put this in an ice cream machine. This actually is kind of almost like a whipped topping because of the way we're going to prepare it. So starting with a very cold bowl, because we all know that when you're making ice cream or whipped cream, you start with a cold bowl. I threw it in the freezer. It was in there for about maybe 30, 45 minutes, and it's pretty cold. To that, we're going to add a couple cups of heavy cream, because we all know that the heavier the cream, the more fat the cream has in it, the better your ice cream is going to taste.
Will this sort of kind of end up being a little bit more like a gelato, you feel?
Yeah, you could call it that. You could call it that.
Or almost like a sorbet. It has a little bit softer set.
Yeah, because it's going to be more on the softer side.
Gotcha.
Okay. So to that heavy cream, I'm going to add 1 lime. Yes, it's going to cause a reaction. Yeah, it might curdle a little bit, but it's not going to kill us. And I'm going to use my juicer to do it because I just don't want to squeeze limes. Because we're going to put all the flavors of a margarita into this. Next up, tequila. Whatever you drink, you use. Don't go out to the store and buy tequila. This is just some brand. Get my think it was just like the Smirnoff brand. So I just want 1 tablespoon of tequila. My orange liqueur, I'm using Grand Marnier tonight. 2 tablespoons. So unlike when you're using alcohol when you cook, this doesn't burn off. So if you're serving this, you know, you might want to put that disclaimer out there that you're not responsible for anything that happens. But to me, there's not enough alcohol in this to even phase you. I mean, you just get the taste. Now, just like in making whipped cream, we need a little powdered sugar just to help it out. A little bit, about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, however you like your whipped cream.
Is that more for flavor or for thickening?
It does both.
Does
It's going to
both?
make it a
Okay,
little
great.
sweeter, but it's going to help us get thick. So now we're going to whip this. As with whipped cream, starting out slow. All right. So the reason that I stopped is so that I'm starting to see it starting to kind of pull together. And I'm going to beat this till soft peaks start to form. And then I'm going to stop, because if I go any further, then I'm just going to make whipped cream. And I don't really want whipped cream. I kind of want that right before whipped cream fill. But I also want to taste it now. And that way, if I think it's too strong on the tequila, then I can add a little more powdered sugar to hopefully tone that down. Or if I can't taste what I want to taste, like lime juice, then I may want to adjust all of it. Once I'm happy with it, okay, still got a little bit more to go. So you can see I've got some soft peaks forming, and as I pull my beaters up, they're folding over. That pretty much tells me I'm good to go. All right, so at this point, all I'm going to do is grab some plastic wrap, I hope. Oh, over here. Just because I don't want any smells in my freezer that I may or may not have. And I'm going to put it in there at least for a couple hours. Okay. The bowl is already cold. The bowl is helping us out. So we're just going to stick it back in there for a couple hours. I'll be right back. And with the magic of Chef Darwin's kitchen, he already has one made. And you can see it's very firm. And underneath it's still a little soft. I would let this go probably for maybe, because it's still not as frozen as I would like it, about another hour or so, but I'm okay with it so far. So to serve it, I'm going to grab a lime. And this is the fun part because you can about do anything you want with it. You can use a margarita glass. You can use any beverage glass that you want. All I'm going to do is rub the lime around the edge to wet it. And then I've got some fun sanding sugar, and all I'm going to do is rim my glass just like a margarita. Then I'm going to fill the glass. However full I want to fill it. I'm going to grab my knife, my cutting board, and my lime. Voila. It's a quick, easy, fun summer dessert. It's very cool, very refreshing. You grab a spoon. Ooh, perfect.
Chef, would you be able to put any, if you wanted to, any of the lime or lemon zest within
you could.
the ice cream? Nice.
You certainly could. If you want to do that, you could do that. Would intensify that flavor immensely. Potatoes got about 6 more minutes, it looks like. So if you've come back, you know that I'm trying to write a cookbook. Oops, not my lemon. With my grandmother's recipes, and that's just not going as well as we had hoped right now, just due to summer camps. But a lot of, like I said, a lot of my recipes that I use in summer camp and in my classes are my grandmother's recipes. When she passed away, she left all the recipes to my mother, who then didn't want them and gave them to me. I'm just going to put a fresh lime on there so it looks nicer. So, do you have any questions about the ice cream?
That looks refreshing to me. I love it.
It is. It is really good. I'm really tempting to eat it all, but I have to drive home.
Chef Darwin, how long can you keep that in the freezer?
You can keep it in the freezer just like regular ice cream, but just remember it's going to get hard.
Okay.
And so it depends on how you want to serve it. If you want a harder ice cream, keep it in there longer. But if you want like this, which is going to be more like a soft serve gelato mix, then keep it in there for 3-4 hours. But just remember, the longer you keep it in your freezer, the harder it will get. And I've had friends who make this and then they serve it with like little margarita cupcakes or a little margarita thing that they make on the side, and it actually is really good. And since you really taste a lot of the orange, it can work with a lot of different desserts. I just wouldn't give it to a child just because of the pure alcohol in it. Like I waited till the children left camp before I made this.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Don't want my boss saying, what did you do with the kids today? We made bread. No, and we actually did make bread. We made cinnamon rolls, chocolate rolls, and then we made waffles.
Absolutely delicious.
Yes.
For these potatoes that you're making, do you have any suggestions on what to pair that with? Like what would you have as a side?
Chicken. Well, so if I use chicken stock, then I usually pair it with chicken. And I have a great chicken raspberry dish that goes well with this.
Oh my gosh, that screams summer too. So that's really
Yes.
good.
I'll
So
have to make that
are your raspberries actually cooked within that chicken
Mhm.
mixture?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh wow.
Yes, ma'am. With a little wine. When I cook, and my grandmother used a lot of wine in her cooking, so that's where I picked up the wine. But I'm also a dark liquor boy because my grandfather and great uncle had a still and would basically make their own bourbon. So I will marinate my chicken in bourbon and then just use a basic rub on it, pair it with this. And then for vegetables, if you saw the asparagus in the brown paper, the steamed asparagus dish that I do goes well with this. I really like the potato dish. It's quick, it's easy, it's something I can put on the stove and I can go tend to something else, come back, and it's done. So we'll give you a chance to look at it here.
The liquor in dishes definitely elevates the dish quite a bit, makes it a little bit
It
fancier.
does.
The
It does.
flavor is just phenomenal.
And if you want, grab a spoon. And notice that the starch leaching out from the potatoes is starting to thicken your sauce up a little bit. And you can just do it. You know, they're getting close to being done. But my grandmother made this at her restaurant, and it was usually on Saturday or Sunday when we did our family style dining. And we made these just like in a pan, similar, very similar to this, and we would just take it out and put it in the middle of the table. So, and she served it with chicken usually. So
Looks delicious.
grab a plate. And see, if you really want to move them around, you can. I just like to keep them all in a little square. There we go.
Chef, is there any variation of these potatoes with maybe the addition of any kind of cream or cheese or anything like that? Or do you usually just
can put,
I see.
I don't do much with them. I leave them like this. I've had friends who have made this dish and put Parmesan on it, who have put basically any type of cheese they've wanted on it. And actually it tastes good. I just, because I've grown up with this dish like this, you know, I'm kind of a naturalist.
A purist, yes.
Yeah.
That makes
I like
sense.
the dish this way, but I don't mind the dish being served other ways. I've had people use red wine and it actually tastes pretty good. I've had people use vodka and then they put a vodka chicken dish with it. And it actually was pretty good. I like the white wine. Like I said, I'm a purist. I like the way my grandmother made it. I don't try to vary the dish that much when I'm teaching it.
And I might have missed this earlier. What kind of white wine do you
whatever
recommend?
you drink. Whatever you drink.
Gotcha.
Do not go buy the $60 bottle of wine. and use that thinking that that's going to elevate the dish and you're going to get your Michelin star with it, because sometimes those $60 wines really don't do the justice as that $2.50 bottle from Trader Joe's does.
Oh, I'm not knocking it.
So I always tell people to cook with whatever you drink. Yeah, they're still a little rough, a little hard. Oh yeah, they're getting there. Another 5 minutes.
So these potatoes would normally take probably
15.
30 minutes? Oh, okay,
15.
15 minutes. Gotcha.
Yeah, 15. No more than 15, 20. But
Beautiful.
as some people do, in my household, they like their potatoes with a little bit of crunch. So I cook some of them so that they have a little bit of crunch, and then other people in my family like mushy potatoes, so that I cook those mushy. So you can modify this dish to however your family likes it. I like it when they're soft, they're fork tender, just like you were going to get ready to drain them and mash them. That's where I like them. But I have other family members who like it a little further. And if you think that you're low on stock, you can add just a little bit more. You can add just a little bit more white wine. You can see that is really starting to thicken up now because of the leaching starch from the potatoes. And this actually does make a really good sauce if you're just doing some basic chicken to throw it on there.
Chef, if we wanted it crispier, we would just keep cooking.
If you keep cooking it, they're gonna get very, very tender, almost to the point of being mashed. You would want to ease up on the cooking, maybe about 13 minutes, and they would still retain their crunchiness like these. These are pretty crunchy still to me. And I have no problem with them being this crunchy because I like potatoes anyway. I come from South Dakota. I'm a meat and potatoes little young man. So, but see, once again, so I'm getting a really good sauce on this. And if I don't really want that sauce, all I got to do is add a little more stock or a little more wine. And it will thin it right down. But remember, just like pasta, the more it cooks, the more starch will boil out, which could be to your advantage. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Now I've heard of other people doing something called the Hasselback
Yes.
potatoes. Are these called Hasselbacks, or are they a little bit different?
because you cut the potato all the way through. Hasselbacks are not cut all the way through.
Ah, so they're
left
connected.
so that,
I see.
right, they're still connected on the bottom so that you can stuff things in between them, such as cheese, ham, spinach. I actually am not a big fan of Hasselback potatoes. I'd just much rather have it baked or like this or mashed.
Oddly, I've never had them. I've only seen them absolutely everywhere now, but I've yet to try them.
It's the new trend.
Mm-hmm. It makes for pretty presentation, but this is
It does.
very toothsome and looks delicious too.
Mm-hmm. I do a lot of comfort foods. I do a lot of quick, easy things that take 1 or 2 pans at the most, so you're not stuck in the kitchen until 10 o'clock at night trying to clean everything up. And in fact, I have 2 spaghetti dishes that take 2 pans. And as you put the spaghetti on, you start the sauce. And when the spaghetti's done, the sauce is done. And I am going to make that for you guys coming up. I think maybe in the fall, because it's a fun dish. We get to light things on fire.
We're looking forward to it. What else is on the agenda for you this summer, Chef Darwin? Or do you have any events coming up?
No, just summer camps. And then we are taking a trip to Egypt if they let us, in July for 10 days. So I can
And
go
is that a
scope out.
food tour or is that a?
No, we're going just to visit, but we're going to make it a food tour. I already have a walking foodie tour kind of thing going on, and then we're going to go down to Aswan, I think, and there's another tour that I want to take, and there's actually a cooking class that I want to do.
That sounds wonderful. Keep us
It just
posted.
depends. It just depends on if we can get everything done. And then in November, we're going to Japan. And I'm definitely taking a sushi class and a tea class, and learn the way that they prepare tea, because I think that's just totally fascinating.
God, the sushi sounds so scrumptious. Do you have a favorite cut or type
No,
of fish?
I'm actually allergic to seafood, so
Oh,
I
my
can't eat
goodness.
sushi.
But you can handle it without any problems then, right?
Yeah, as long as I have gloves on, I'm good with it. But most of the kids now in my classes want to make sushi. And I
there's
have
so
a
many
good,
variations you can make too, with lots of different vegetables and other
Right.
things. Yeah. It
Right.
makes for a beautiful, colorful presentation.
So while in Japan, might as well go take a sushi class and see what I'm doing wrong, which I'm sure I'm doing quite a number of things wrong, and just have some fun with it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Chef Darwin. This looks
Not a
absolutely scrumptious. And thank you for everybody for joining. I wanted to quickly hand it over to our virtual presenter today, to Steve Gibson, who's a board member of Mimosa Hall and Gardens and CEO of Talent Served, to talk a little bit more about our organization and some of the great activities that are that we've been doing lately. Let me go ahead and share that with you right now.
Hi, I'm Steve Gibson. I'm a Friends of Mimosa Hall and Gardens board member and chairman of the fundraising committee. And I want to talk with you about how you can help with this beautiful piece of Roswell history. We'd like to have you engage with us. We have so many opportunities for you to help out and participate and be a member of helping to keep this property as beautiful and pristine and restored as we can do it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to join us, become a member. There are lots of different ways that you can participate. Financially is absolutely helpful, and you can go directly to our website at friendsofmimosa.org and donate. We're a 501(c), so you'll get a nice notification back that you've donated, and you can use that off on your taxes according to your accountant's advice. And we'd also love to have you participate in terms of volunteering and being a part of helping to make sure that this piece of Roswell history endures past our own lifetimes. So thank you very much for watching and enjoying today's show, and looking forward to working with you in the future. Hi.
And this concludes our presentation today with Chef Darwin. Looking forward to having you back, Chef, in the next few
All right.
months.
If we do July, it's got to be towards the end of the month, I think.
Sounds good. And I know a lot of people are taking some time off for the summer. So we'll see, what kind of events we can start and having more cooking events. Thank you.